All right, now I'm going to talk about healing trauma with psychedelic mushrooms. I believe psychedelic mushrooms can heal PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And I think that there's a lot of other psychological illnesses, disabilities that all fall into anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. And we'll heal those as well. People really need to change. It baffles me that people frown upon psychedelic mushrooms. And that, unfortunately, we have our DARE teachers to thank for that. I kind of chewed out somebody from DARE. I told them to quit brainwashing kids a couple of days ago. But they're doing much more harm than they are good, keeping these medications away from the public. And the reasons are very obvious, because they can't regulate them, because billions of dollars would be lost in all these terrible drugs that they're shoving down your throats, that for some silly reason people think that these drugs are acceptable, when it's kind of like a lot of other things in life where the motive is money and to keep you sick so you can keep taking pills, where when you take psychedelic mushrooms you will heal completely. And I've got to several different levels taking psychedelic mushrooms. I've done them maybe 10 times in total in about 2 years. So I haven't done them that much. And I never did any other kind of psychedelic drug like that. I never did acid. I won't touch acid. And I don't approve of acid at this point. Okay, so when you take mushrooms, you want to have a sitter, somebody to watch you. And the first time you take mushrooms, just take them however, man. You can blend them up if you want, or you can just take them whole. But you don't want to have a big, intense experience your first time. You can just take a little bit and just kind of learn that it's safe. Go outside and watch some kids or some animals walk by and just really feel it. And let it be mild, and just recognize that it's safe. And then a big thing about mushrooms is that it's very, very hard to abuse mushrooms. You can't really abuse mushrooms because you grow a tolerance. You get a tolerance extremely quickly. I learned that, I don't know about the hard way, but I recognized that when I first started taking mushrooms, if you take mushrooms 1 week after another, you're not really going to have any effect. It's not going to have an effect on you. You have to spread it out. I feel months you should spread out taking mushrooms. I haven't taken mushrooms since I reached an enlightened state 9 or 10 months ago, because I only did it for spiritual reasons, and I feel that I'm in a place where I don't need it anymore right now. I do feel I'll take mushrooms again, but I really respect mushrooms for their healing properties, and I don't want to abuse them whatsoever. I think that they're very sacred, actually. Coming from cow shit, they are sacred. So you want to, the second time you do mushrooms, okay, now this is where it gets big boy stuff. You want to have an intense experience. If you want to heal yourself, you want to have an intense experience. So typically that would mean a lot of mushrooms. But I got some information off of a website called Shroomery, at shroomery.com or shroomery.org or something like that. Just look up Shroomery. And one of the ways to have a very intense psychedelic experience without doing a ton of mushrooms is to add lemon juice. You add get an organic lemon and blend your mushrooms. And I'm not going to say how much because that's on you, and that's you know, I wouldn't recommend it like that. It's on you. But you want an intense experience, and a lot of mushrooms, if you're in a good place, is not a bad thing. You're not going to. I think it'd be very hard to overdose on mushrooms. I'm sure it's possible, but you just don't do a lot. I mean, don't do like a pound of mushrooms or something like that. But anyways, you blend it in a NutriBullet or into dust, and then blend it with this lemon juice. And the lemon juice makes the mushroom experience 1.5 to 5 times more intense. So it makes it very intense. And it's a little shorter, the time period's a little shorter. It lasts about 4 hours, I think. And it also, 4 4 hours. It also will hit you, might hit you really fast. I've had mushrooms take two hours to hit me or 15 minutes to hit me. It all depends. You know, you want to eat clean that day too. You don't want to eat a bunch of greasy food. You want to eat about an hour or two before you take the mushrooms and make sure it's something clean and healthy. So when you do these mushrooms, it might upset your belly a little bit, and you might feel like you're going to throw up. You want to just kind of breathe and let that ride out, because you're not going to throw up. You just got to tell some positive self-talk and ride it out, and it'll be over before you know it. But you want to go and lay down on the beach, or go out and lay down just somewhere in nature, and put on some headphones and listen to some good music. And what you want to do is you want to close your eyes. A lot of the psychedelic experience is from what you see visually. So if you eliminate that, most of the psychedelic experience will be in your head. And I listened to Raja Ram has an album called Pipe Dreams, which is a great psychedelic album. And you know, those psychedelic screensavers with all those lights that go off, that's what goes off, that's what happens in your head when you take mushrooms. And I don't know in its entirety how it heals, and you don't have to. Don't obsess over knowing everything. You're going to kill yourself doing that. But what a lot of it is that Americans and the brain, I think the biggest weakness with the human brain is that it adapts to tension, to physical and psychological, your brain tensing up. Your body and your brain are constantly getting more and more tense with all the stimulus and all the stress in the world today. And our brains adapt to it, and kind of, we are not aware of how much tension we have. I wasn't aware at all of all the tension in my head. But with psychedelic mushrooms, I believe that all this trauma, depression, anxiety, and PTSD, I know PTSD, is tension in the brain. And so I think when you close your eyes and you get all these intense visuals going on in your brain, I think it really opens up and relaxes and detensifies, relaxes your brain from areas that have been tense for many years. And I think that's where a lot of the healing comes in. And I actually did something more intense to get to a better place later on with mushrooms. But as far as right now, okay, so lay down, listen to Raja Ram Pipe Dreams, or you can listen to shamanic chanting. If you want to heal, you listen to shamanic chanting. And what I believe is that when you take mushrooms, you connect with God. And why they call them magic mushrooms is because you get out of them what you want. If you want to just see silly things and laugh, that's all you're going to do on mushrooms. But if you want to get inside your soul, you ask God, you know, and He'll hear you, I promise. But I write myself a note every time I take mushrooms, just to kind of to remind myself to self-reflect while I'm there, and to remind myself of why I'm there. And this is a long time ago. I wrote this note, and it said, "All I want is for you to learn to love yourself. Treat every day as a chance to grow. Nothing will cure your pain overnight. Love others and never assume the worst. Find the beauty in everyone, even yourself, especially yourself. Learn compassion. You really need to learn compassion." When I first started to try to improve myself, I didn't know what self-compassion was. I couldn't comprehend it. That's how lost I was at that time. And you have to really make sure that you're in a good place, because if you're not in a good place, you can have a bad experience with mushrooms, and you need to be aware of the place that you're in. A lot of people aren't aware, but the mushrooms, you can't lie to the mushrooms. If you have a bad experience on mushrooms, it's because you weren't in a good place, and that's bringing awareness to that. So this is, again, a blessing. If you have a bad experience on mushrooms, that's telling you that you really need to address something, but you should probably do it off of mushrooms. But the best experience that I had on psychedelic mushrooms, I've had several, but one of the most growing experiences I had was on the beach listening to shamans chanting. And I had a rough childhood, and my family betrayed me a lot when I was younger, so I was naturally very defensive and had my guard up. And when I took the mushrooms, I was laying on the beach with my eyes closed listening to the chanting, and it just felt like these particles were being shed from my body. And all I kept saying to myself, or all a voice kept saying in my head was, please stop fighting, just love. Just stop fighting. Please love. And for 2 hours it did that. And you know, it gets me emotional just thinking about it, because that healed my soul, man. It really did. And it was long term. There were several shifts I think I had in my pursuing happiness. There were several shifts, positive shifts that I had in my psyche, in my heart, in my mind, and this was one of them where I was much better after that day. I realized that I was in a good place. Feels good to talk about, but yeah, you know, I think the big thing is that people have to understand, how do mushrooms heal you? I want to get it all, you know, and that's a big reason why the Bible is there, because people have this obsession with having to know, understand everything. And what the Bible does is it makes you so you don't think, and you just understand. And people have that safety blanket. You know, some people, when they break up, when they get dumped in a relationship, they go crazy for months and months and years and possibly forever, because they don't know why that person hurt them. And they have to understand why that person hurt them, why that person broke up with them. When in reality, the person that did it probably doesn't understand completely why they did it. So obsessing over having to understand something really, really will hinder your growth. And you don't have to understand psychedelic mushrooms. Reset.me, World Wide Web, not www, same thing, just kidding. World Wide Web. Reset.me is a beautiful website. I push that website all the time because people need to educate themselves on the health benefits of the plants of the earth. But you know, before I had this beautiful experience with mushrooms, I was going to work with really bad anxiety, breathing problems. I was waking up in the middle of the night with breathing problems, and all that went away. It went away and gave me confidence, and that never went away. So, you know, I think writing yourself a note is a really, really important to do, and recognize that, you know, people believe that there's a God out there, but then people get very uncomfortable when you talk about connecting with God. Like, this person's supposed to be here, we give money to a church, but there's nothing in between. And that's not the case at all. I believe a lot of these medications connect you to God. And when you learn in the spiritual world, in reality, is that we are all connected and we are all one. And so you are one with God. We are all one with God. It just takes awareness to recognize that. But you need to be safe, and don't try to understand it, you know. But the lemon juice is a big thing, and you want to lay down and buckle up, because that first experience, the first couple hours, is very intense, and you need that. And after that initial hour or two of really intense tripping, you want to get up and go walk around and look at the flowers and feel what enlightenment feels like. Feel like what it feels like if you continue a path of self-improvement and you eliminate fear and judgment from your life. But yeah, a beautiful experience that I had with psychedelics, that actually I believe got me to a state of enlightenment, was where, you know, to a beautiful place, was I did mushrooms with a few friends, and I've been improving my mind and body connection, and my visualizing my body while I meditate, and healing my body with my mind while I meditate. That is possible, believe it or not. But my last psychedelic experience, it was my last one. It was fun. What I did was I was meditating. I was deep breathing, but I closed my eyes, and I had visuals, you know, the psychedelic visuals in my head. But I was imagining love and hearts going to the top of my head, and I could see it and I could feel it, and it was just red, warm hearts flowing up to the top of my head. And I did that for about an hour, just breathing love into my brain. And you better believe that got me here. Okay, psychedelic mushrooms can get you, are not a solution to everything. It's not. I think that talk therapy is very important to know what you need to work on. And EMDR therapy is a whole other story, but I love EMDR therapy with all my heart, and I think that that would heal the ego of the world if people took EMDR therapy. But people aren't looking for solutions; they're looking for pills and a book, or pills and a church. And these are all temporary solutions when mushrooms is a permanent solution. And mushrooms will give you answers that you didn't know you had questions to. If you ask, if you want to know. But I hope that, if I could open one person's mind and heart to trying psychedelic mushrooms and healing with them, I am 100% positive that this world would be a totally different place if everybody took some mushrooms. Joe Rogan says that, and I thought he was crazy when he said that at first. But it makes a lot of sense. You see how we are all connected, and how important it is to love the animals and people, and how much we influence each other. Because this dude healed me beyond what you can imagine, And I had a psychedelic experience in my house. And he was laying on my feet the entire time. He was sleeping on my feet as I was having this experience. And you better believe that he was getting some of the vibes that was coming off of that trip. These animals are very deep, and the world, through my awakenings, I've recognized that the world isn't at all what we think it is. There's a lot more going on, and these animals are really deep. And if you have a shithead animal, it's because you need to look into yourself, and they regulate us, and they make us, they should bring awareness to our issues. Okay, if you have a mouthy, a yappy dog, a neurotic dog, or a neurotic cat, I'd hate to see a neurotic cat, but if you have a very antisocial cat, whatever, it's telling you that there's something going on with you, because this is a reflection of you. And my animals are awesome. Huh, dude, you're awesome, my man. But this guy healed my soul, and I love him with all my heart. So, anybody has any questions, man, you can post questions or whatever. I don't really like giving psychedelic advice that much. Reset.me is a great website for that kind of stuff. There's a lot of other plants of the earth. Ayahuasca is one that I would definitely do tomorrow, just to, see what it's about, because I don't like talking about dimensions and all that stuff, but this world is not what you think it is, trust me. This world is a combination of what every philosophy thinks it is. That's absolutely what it is. And it's beautiful, and you don't have to understand it. You just have to love selflessly, and everything you ever need will come to you.
Peace.